It's been in the family since the 1700s. Originally about 275 acres here. Dad and Mom turned that into 2,300 acres.
I'm Carol Yeomans. I married my husband, H.G. Yeomans, who owned this land out here. In 1973, we were married 47 years before he passed away, and once we married, we immediately moved to the farm. I learned everything about timber and forestry from H.G. I grew up in town, so I had never had anywhere out in the woods to walk or wander or look around or do anything with forestry until we met. At that time, H.G. was working with a farm equipment company, selling silo equipment to unload cow feed. He worked that for about 3 years before he changed over to forestry. Many years ago, when I found out that I was expecting rust, I came back from the doctor, and when I got to the house, H.G. was on the tractor planting food plots, and he was so very excited to find out we were going to have a baby. And the first thing he said to me was, "That is wonderful news. That's great news. I'm so excited now. Do you feel like helping me plant this food plot?" So we planted food plots the rest of the afternoon. And I should have known then that I was in trouble. He decided he didn't want to be on the road selling equipment anymore. And so he decided we would start in the pulpwood business. And that's how we started.
My name is Russ Yeomans. I've been on the farm for 48 years now. I'm 48 years old. Growing up on the farm, obviously I developed a love for hunting and fishing. Managing the land, I was taught by my dad for the importance of prescribed fire, the importance of rotational thinning of our trees to grow healthier trees. Our family's been in the timber business since the 1970s, so the economic impact, growing trees for financial gain, quite honestly, is important, but equally important is the wildlife, the hunting and the fishing, and even other species. We've got gopher tortoises. We have a little place on top of the hill up there on the sand ridge called Gopher City, named by my dad.
Yeah.
And natural habitat creation and all that's important to us as well.
I'm Buford Sanders with the Georgia Forestry Commission. I serve as the Chief of State Lands currently. And I've had the pleasure of knowing the Yeomans family for more than 20 years. And as you look at their nomination as Tree Farmer of the Year, I can't think of a better family, because when you think about wood, water, wildlife, and recreation, and then you come visit this property, you'll see all of those elements given great consideration in their management objectives. You see wildlife food plots throughout the property, both managed and open space. All of their water resources are managed well for recreation and for fisheries. And for waterfowl. And the roads are all in great shape. They're maintained to protect the soil and water. One thing that you'll see throughout the property is dedicated deer stands, and they're not your typical deer stands. And HG went to a lot of trouble to build stands that were ADA, that folks could get into, that he could invite all types of guests. And that has continued to be a platform for folks to experience the outdoors here.
Papa built us some really nice deer stands out here. My first buck I killed, it was a 4-point, but it was at what we call the kid stand.
I've always enjoyed the farm growing up here, learning how to hunt and fish and stuff like that. I killed my first deer out here, just really immersing myself in the outdoors and really learning how to be present and in the moment.
One thing that you'll see when you come here to the property is a place they call the barn. Now, this is not really a barn. This is a structure that's used in a lot of ways by the family to invite the community to come out to the property.
When we decided to build a place to have for our family and the community to gather, we had 3 old buildings that were on our property. And so we used all of those buildings, we tore them down, and we used all the wood and the bricks. So the majority, I'd say 75% of this is built from the old reclaimed wood and the bricks from the old houses that were on the property.
Several years ago, HG called me up and he wanted to talk to me about this new project he was involved in called the Duck Conservation Society. And the gist of that basically was that they procured wood and materials, made them available to the local high school so that the wood shop could then produce wood duck boxes. It gave people an opportunity who may not have access to land, who may not really understand conservation very well, to be hands-on and to develop a wood duck box that's going to help conservation and understand wood products better and how they can be used to help our lives.
As a part of our business model at Yeomans Wood and Timber, we have a reforestation department reforesting over 3,000 acres a year. This is part of the property that was purchased from Augusta Woodlands some years back. It was a stand of loblolly at that time that wasn't doing well because this is a really sandy site. So we clear cut the stand, site prepped it, and came back with longleaf. We hope to rake straw for a few years and then just run the long-term management plan out for timber and wildlife. Being involved with GFA has been a highlight of my professional career because I just think it's important to give back to the forestry community and just be a part of making a difference in our communities.
So knowing HG all these years, I can tell you that he had forestry and the land in his heart. He cared so much about both the forestry community and he cared about land management that he dedicated his life to both demonstrating that and to helping others understand it. And he was always engaged, always advocating for the right things to help forest industry, to help the environment, and to help the next generation.
One thing that HG always said was that he didn't want to buy all the land in the world or own all the land in the world, just everything that joined him. And I think that was a goal of his, was to try to get a lot of the property settled for these children and grandchildren to have one day.
I live 4 miles from Mama's house and 2 miles from Russ's house, and I wouldn't take anything for that. And I'm thankful for Mama and Daddy providing that for us and our grandkids.
Oh my goodness, there's nothing better than having all my family live right around here and our grandchildren grow up here. I feel very, very blessed. God's been good to us, good to our family, and my thought is that we're going to have children that love this land enough that they'll want to always keep it in our family.
You know, being able to spend a lot of time with HG out here on this property, it became very evident to me that the legacy of his tenure as a steward of this property, it was much more important to him that his children and his grandchildren understood that, and he kept them involved in every aspect. And you still see it today. You know, Russ is at the helm now. The next generation's right behind, and it's so good to see them out here enjoying this property too.
On behalf of the Georgia Tree Farm Program, I would like to present the 2024 Tree Farm of the Year to the HG Yeomans Family Trust.
Thank you.